My boyfriend just proposed to me 2 weeks ago. He has been so incredible over the last few years. All I want to do is make him happy for the rest of his life. Any tips for marital bliss? Story 1. Makes me laugh. She is so goofy, but only with me, and that makes me happiest of all because not only is she my wife, but I get yet another side of her that few see. I count myself very lucky to have someone feel so comfortable and protected around me to legitimately just be themselves, and I get the proof when we are around other people. She is still herself, but not like she is with me. It is one of the many things I love that may seem kind of out there, but I have been reflecting on that for a while now. Story 2. My fiancée does the following things that make me feel so special. Asterisk puts down her phone when I'm talking and gives me 100% undivided attention. I don't ask or expect her to do this, but the fact that she does it makes me feel like what I have to say really matters, even if it's about something small like a funny crossword puzzle clue I saw. I've had ex-girlfriends who can't stop looking at their phones when I'm talking, and it always made me feel awful about myself. Asterisk, she genuinely tries to help out whenever and however she can, even if she physically can't. My fiancée is 5'1", but she will always try to lift as many groceries or luggage as she can, so I don't have to bear the brunt of heavy lifting. It's physically easier for me to lift things, but I appreciate that she wants us to be equal and tries to help. Asterisk tells me she loves me throughout the day and does funny things to show that she wants me, like pinching my butt or making comments about finding me cute. Asterisk gives me alone time when I need it, but also would clear her schedule if I was having a particularly hard day or time. Asterisk genuinely loves and seeks out a connection with my family. My family is very important to me, so it's heartwarming to see her texting my siblings or making plans with my mom. Asterisk, she also apologizes after a fight and doesn't let me wallow for longer than about 30 minutes. Otherwise, she'll attack me with a hug. Story 3. Over the years, you will encounter problems of different shapes and sizes. If you approach these problems together as the two of us versus the problem, the rest will pretty much work itself out. Also, back scratches for both of you. Story 4. Going on 27 years of marriage. Communication with each other about everything. Take a pre-marriage counseling course. It's great to learn how to communicate. They should also have a love language test for both of you to take. These really help in understanding what each person needs and how to provide. Consider a couple's life group too. And the biggest thing, be happy. Best of luck and congratulations. Story 5. Just be aware of the role hormones play in both of your emotions. Oxytocin is a serious bonding chemical. Use it through cuddling or intimacy. Testosterone drops from having kids can lower sex drive, and sleep deprivation reduces serotonin, the happy chemical. Estrogen decreases for you as you age, and testosterone decreases for him as he ages. Don't assume that your changes in feelings have no reason. He's not being as attentive as he was. Ask him about stress and cortisol. It's a mood killer and depressive hormone. Feeling distant? Have a cuddle night in. Get the good juices flowing, serotonin, oxytocin, and more. It seems people fail to grasp how much hormones play a role in our minds. Just be aware of that and adjust accordingly. Edit. A balanced diet, exercise, sleep, sunlight, maintaining an appropriate weight, and a regular intimate life will keep all of these things functioning. It's when one of those activities takes a back seat that you begin feeling bad. Story 6. She doesn't have to do anything. This is a woman who, after dating me for less than 6 weeks, didn't go anywhere when I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. She was with me when the cancer drugs were making me vomit and took me to my appointments when I didn't have the strength to grip a steering wheel. She insisted we get married after I was diagnosed the second time because if I was going to die, I was going to die as her husband. So no, she doesn't have to do a single thing to keep me happy. Without her, I'd be dead. With her, I wanted to stay alive. Story 7. Sleep together naked. And if possible, go to bed and get up at the same time. That simple formula builds a base layer of intimacy that will help your relationship for the long term. Story 8. The biggest mistake I made in my marriage was dividing the important duties rather than working together. All it did was create too much space and resentment. Do things together, laugh, and be friends. Don't fall into a business relationship like I did. Story 9. Some things my wife rarely does that would make my day, and yes, I have brought these things up several times in conversation to make my feelings known to those who would go down that path. 1. Tell me she loves me even when it's out of context. Cuddle up to me in bed instead of me always initiating it. Compliment me. I'm reminded of a time a month or so ago when we were in the car, and she just randomly said that she thinks it's hot that I research everything I can about anything I can. It made my whole week. Be a shoulder to cry on when your future husband needs one. There have been several times that I just needed a long hug and some consoling words. Let him have time alone and with his friends. Being together all the time may sound fantastic, and maybe for you too, it is, but at the end of the day, when someone needs their space, it's nice to know your significant other understands that and doesn't make it about them. Hope this helps, and congratulations. Story 10. Inside your home, it's okay to quarrel about a decision for a bit, especially if one person, either you or your husband, isn't happy with the decision. However, when you leave, make sure you don't use "he decided" or "I decided." It's "we decided." Example: my sister-in-law, her husband, and 5 kids live down the road, and when my wife's parents come to town, they want to do family dinner every single night when they are here, which is a pain for me. I love her family, but I hate putting our life on hold 3 times a year for a week. For a long time, it was the husband doesn't want to come. It was becoming a very big deal every time they came to town. My wife and I went through a program at our church that emphasized we are a team through the good and bad and disagreements, and it's damaging to put the decision on a single person because it could make you or your husband look bad. Now, when they come to town, my wife will say to her mom, "We've decided we can only do 2 nights." When they press her, she continually says, "We decided this was best." It showed we were united, and she wasn't blaming me if we didn't come or I didn't come, because putting your life on hold for a week is ridiculous to me. The same came this past Christmas, because we usually went to my parents for Christmas every year. We had our first child after 2.5 years of trying, and my wife really didn't want to travel or go. She wanted us to spend Christmas at home. I did want to see my family because we usually only go at Christmas, but I called my mom and told her. We decided it was too much to travel this year, with our daughter being 4 months old, on a 6-hour car ride. When my mom pressed, I emphasized we made the decision, but you are welcome to come here, which they did at New Year's. So, to me, that's what's most important for our marriage. In the home, we can disagree, but when we leave the house and talk to others, it's "we made a decision." On the personal side, I'm a very extroverted introvert. I love my friends and family, but people I don't particularly like or have much in common with drain all the life out of me. When we first got together, we were long distance, and I moved to her city for us to get engaged and married. All of her friends were nothing like my friends, and she tried to include me in her social circle. It took until 6 months into our marriage for her to figure out I wasn't unhappy with her, but all her friends and I just didn't gel. Slowly, those people started moving away, and we started making friends together that we both liked. When that happened, she saw I wasn't this weird social person. It was just a matter of comfort with people. When we do spend time with her friends that really drain the life out of me, I get a trade-off of a night where I sit down with some bourbon, some records, and a book to recharge, because it really does drain me emotionally and physically. It's those kinds of things that show me my wife loves me. I try hard in those social situations and try to be understanding when there are just certain events I need to attend and be present. Her love language is people, so I encourage her to have her bi-weekly girls' night and get out and be super social. We've been married 7 years now, and in the last 3, we've really gotten into a good groove of communication, love, and understanding. I don't win all the time in decisions, and neither does she. The first 2 years are hard communication-wise, learning to live together and figuring out the social, family, and friend stuff, but both of you have to keep working at it, and if you do, you'll be good. Hope that helps some. Story 11. My wife and I have been married for 8 months now. As we were getting closer to our wedding, we would ask each other questions to help understand one another. My wife wanted to do a monthly checkup on our monthivernary, where we take time for ourselves with no interruptions, no cell phones or distractions, and ask how the other is doing and what we can do for one another. One thing we knew would need to be of major importance in our marriage is communication. We are open with one another. As another comment says, as long as she is happy, I'm happy. But also, don't forget to continue to be his girlfriend and he your boyfriend. Do the same things you do now and hold hands whenever you can. Story 12. I've been married twice. My first wife told me she loved me up until we were married, and then out came a long list of how she was going to change me. I tried to make her happy, but it became clear I wasn't the husband she wanted. After that marriage, I met my second wife. She's always loved me for who I am, flaws and all. She helps me be a better version of who I want to be. It's about being supportive, not manipulative. If he wants to marry you, it's because of who you are, so to make him happy, continue to be yourself. Story 13. When I was a child, I asked my grandfather, who was married to my grandmother for 61 years, the secret to a long marriage, and he simply replied, "You don't leave and you don't die, so maybe focus on that." Story 14. The biggest thing my wife does for me on a regular basis is she understands that I am at heart a solitary person and that I need alone time. This doesn't mean I don't love her to pieces, but I do need time alone with my thoughts or lack of thoughts, and she does what she can to give that to me, and she doesn't judge me for it. For example, if I want to zone out and read a book in peace and quiet, she's learned that if she takes a bubble bath for an hour, we're both happy. Story 15. I found the never let the sun set on an argument pretty solid advice. Solve problems quickly and thoroughly. Never bring up an old argument you wish you had. Just make a mental note to actually address it if it happens again. And sometimes just let old arguments die. The goal is not to be perfect, just to be happy. Story 16. Just be willing to work with him on issues and be generally supportive. I've been married for 3 years. Recently, it looked like I was going to be moved to a new building for work, which would have added 2 more hours to my daily commute. She offered to do more of the house chores and cooking. It was very sweet. Luckily, the move was so unpopular that now it's optional. Edit. It's very easy to take all the effort the other does for granted. Take a reality check occasionally and see if you're being reasonable. My wife and I have different schedules, which means we usually do chores when the other is asleep or not around. It's easy to be doing something and thinking about how all you ever see is him or her not working. But that's not true and not fair. May you avoid at least one of our pitfalls. Story 17. Married 33 years. She let herself go when we were alone. No makeup, bedhead on Saturday morning, laughing at stupid cartoons. I loved her most when she loved herself. She's passed, but we're still married. Until death do you part, my ass. Story 18. I know that I am not a man, but having just celebrated a 10-year anniversary with a man who has told me many things that I've done that make him happy, I want to toss in one really big thing that has made a difference in our life together. Recognize that you are both simply human, and with that comes irrational emotions and illogical thoughts, and they're not always make or break. If you haven't yet, you are going to have at least 1 or 2 big arguments in your lifetime. In between those, you will have smaller arguments that started over something petty and stupid. Either you were being petty, defensive, etc., or he was. Before diving into the deep end, remember that silence is always better than saying something hurtful in the moment. Tell him you need a moment to calm down and go to a separate room. People tell you not to rationalize a spouse's hurtful behavior, but sometimes you need to because no one is perfect, and there is no way you're going to find a productive way forward if you spend every moment afterward silently or outwardly blaming them for it. Try to figure out what led to the argument. Was it a face you made, or a personal issue you projected on him, or a past experience he told you about that may explain his current reaction? Introspection is a powerful tool. No matter what, sometimes it will be your fault and sometimes it will be his fault. The start of the argument or disagreement is always the fault of one or the other, but the continuation and escalation of the argument is the fault of both of you. It's both your responsibilities to recognize when to stop, and, being that you can only control you, you need to make the move when you recognize it. Apologize for your part in the continuation or escalation. Apologize if it was your fault that it all started. There will always be a part that you played, and you need to own it. Once you own your part, over time he will see how to do the same. I have never blamed my husband for anything. Rather, I own my own issues and left him to his. And over the years, our communication has increased tenfold. We've both become better people. Just my 20 cents. Best of luck to both of you. Story 19. She lets me be selfish. I know how silly that must sound, but I tend to be a very self-sacrificing person who is focused on taking care of others. And since I am disabled and take care of the house while she works, that often means that if I am up to date on cleaning and everything is okay, I can go a little stir-crazy looking for more to do to not feel like I am being useless. We recently moved to Las Vegas, and there's a casino with a movie theater in it just a few miles away. So she encouraged me to get the unlimited movie pass and spend some days enjoying time to myself with movies and 5-cent video poker. As an introvert and a bit of a recluse, this has honestly been an amazing change in my life that's done wonders for my mental health. I hate getting gifts or having people fuss over me. Getting permission to be just a tiny bit selfish and reassurances that I deserve it are priceless to me.